What is going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today I've got a back to school episode showing you some of the best tech recommendations I have in many different categories. So in this video, we're taking a look at what I believe is the best fit per category, but it definitely isn't the cheapest out there. So every time I do a video like this in the topic of student tech, I try to do one that is also a budget episode as well. So if you guys want to check that out, that is live on the channel. And if you guys would like to win an item from this video, just make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow me over on Instagram at justin.tse, leave a comment down below with your username, and also drop a like on this video. So we've got a lot of things to cover, including laptops, headphones, game systems, smartphones, and also storage. And I just try to put together my best recommendations that I think are a good fit. So in one category, the product might be considered budget, whereas in others, you're kind of spending on an item that is gonna last you many years. I feel like this year more than anything, tech is gonna be extremely important because a lot of people are gonna be spending most of the time indoors. So the first product that I can recommend to any student that just came out very recently is the Google Pixel 4a. And I feel like this is a great value because they tried to undercut Apple, and instead of making it $399 like the previous generation budget Pixel phone, it is $349 and has a lot of the key features, the software, and essentially a very simple and boring phone, but effective. So it does come in one configuration, 128 gigs, which is actually the second tier of storage on the iPhone SE 2020 side, with 6 gigs of RAM, a midline processor, but you get the great photo performance that you should expect out of a Google Pixel phone thanks to the software, because that is essentially the most important thing nowadays when it comes to cameras. And you've also got a headphone jack on the top, which is still nice to see, but the phone itself is just made out of plastic. It's got a fingerprint sensor on the back, and it feels very light in the hand, and it doesn't really have anything that is too exciting about it. On the display side of things, it is a 5.81-inch Full HD Plus OLED display, and I would say it looks pretty good. And unless you're really comparing it to another flagship phone, you aren't gonna have many complaints. But like I said, this phone is very simple. It has the stock Android experience with a couple years of updates, and it is relatively fast, but not exactly snappy. You do notice that the apps take a little bit longer to load up if you're used to a flagship phone, but for 350 bucks, you've got the fundamentals down. And if you don't want to spend thousands on a phone, which many of which cost nowadays, then this is the option to go with. So on the home tech side of things, if you're spending a lot of time in your dorm room and just want a great speaker to listen to music to, this is definitely not the cheapest option out there, but looking at it used, if you're able to go on like Facebook Marketplace or Amazon Marketplace, I picked one up for about 100 bucks Canadian, which is literally like $70 US, and I believe it is one of the best options for a singular home speaker. You can stream music to it from all your favorite platforms, from your smartphone, computer, and all that kind of stuff. Even though I'm not someone who really uses the Sonos features, I think the most important asset is just the sound quality. It can fill up a room quite nicely, and I use it as an alarm clock just to listen to music, and at the full price of like over $200, I wouldn't say it is exactly worth it, but if you're able to find one used and you want to add a few of them, then this right here is one of my favorites, and I've got a ton of them all over the house. On the headphone side of things, we took a look at a pair of active noise cancellation headphones in the budget episode for under $40. And although that was a great value, if you're looking to find the best of the best in the space, then Bose is going to be the option to go with. And this right here is the Bose 700s, and it's essentially like a successor to the very popular QC35-2s, which I personally have as well and have liked for many years. What I like about this one is that the design is just more streamlined. It is more of like a one-piece construction, and as you can see, it is very flexible and comfortable. The ear cups are nicely sized, and the active noise cancellation is great, but most importantly, the sound quality is excellent as well. It has built-in voice control, which I personally don't use, but being able to adjust the noise cancellation is nice. And on a long flight, which is what I usually like to use it for if I fly, then this is gonna be my go-to choice. I could wear it for like many hours at a time, and it's still very comfortable. The battery life is also up to 20 hours, which is nice, but I just think that these are a good investment if you plan to wear them a lot, and at $400, they better be good, and I can tell you that the sound quality for an active noise cancellation headphone is pretty solid. When it comes to a portable game system, one of the most popular choices in the past couple of years has been the Nintendo Switch. But more specifically, the Nintendo Switch Lite I think is great for students because it comes in at a price of under $200. And just like that, you've got a game system that you can use both at home or when you're on the go, whether it's a long bus ride every day. And you can essentially have all the games that you should expect from the Nintendo Switch line, but in a very portable and rugged form factor that is pretty easy to just throw in your backpack. There's not really much to say about it, but the screen is a very decent size, and I just really like the form factor. So as you guys can see, it is just very thin. It comes in a few different fun colors, but one thing that you don't have with the Nintendo Switch Lite version is the ability to use it with a TV setup. But I feel like a lot of times you just want to lay in bed or sit at your desk or sit on a bus and have something that you can take anywhere. So when it comes to storage, students have more options than ever before, and at many different price points. If you're someone who just needs like documents and stuff, then go and buy a flash stick on Amazon for like 10 bucks. A 32 gig card can store anything you're really gonna need. But for example, you're transferring a lot of large files and need that speed, or perhaps you're doing photo and video editing, then an SSD is gonna be what you want to buy. And I've been using SanDisk ones for many years now, and this right here comes in a 500 gig size, all the way up to 2 terabytes, and it is called the Extreme Pro. There's a few things that I like about this. It's got like this silicone lining, but it also has an aluminum frame, and this just allows you to carabiner it to anything, whether it's like your backpack, but it's also durable, so if you drop it or like, I don't know, drive a car over it, it should be perfectly fine, and it also has an IP55 rating. On the actual SSD side of things though, it comes in at a price of just over $100 for 500 gigs, which is plenty, but if you do video editing, it goes up to 2 terabytes and gets you a transfer speed of over 1 gigabyte per second, which I feel like is gonna be more than enough for many. So as you guys can see, it is just so thin, and the prices have really come down on SSD, so if you're looking for something that is reliable and fast, then the Extreme Pro is one that I've really been enjoying. Next up, I imagine students are going to be spending plenty of time on a computer. So this right here is my favorite mouse that I've used for many, many years now, from the first generation through to the third. And I think I mentioned this before, but I've also been to Switzerland to see how they make this at the Logitech research facility. And I just think the ergonomics to it, the horizontal scrolling, and the battery life, and the tracking abilities make this the best productivity mouse. If you're going to be doing any gaming, forget about this mouse altogether. It is simply not made for that, but for productivity wise, I just absolutely love it. It is built so well. It's got this like metal scroll wheel with different settings, customizability, but most importantly, it just feels like my hand has molded to the shape of this mouse after many years. And although it isn't the cheapest one out there, I bet you if you buy this, you're going to be using it for like 3 or 4 years at the very least. So if you're someone who doesn't demand perhaps as much power, but you don't really want to go with an iPad, then I feel like an option that fits in relatively nicely is the Microsoft Surface Go. And this right here is the newest generation, and I believe that the hardware is still one of the best for its class. Microsoft always nails that hardware. It looks great, it feels great, and it's very, very portable, but the power does have a lot of people complaining. It has an Intel Core M3, and you can get it all the way up to 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. But if you're going with the base option, then $399 plus the additional cost for the keyboard is not exactly a bad deal. The battery life is 10 hours, and you can essentially use the kickstand to consume media or just take it around like this, and even with the keyboard, it is extremely light. Before I move on to the next product though, I want to give a huge thanks to the sponsor of this video, Letyshops, which is a great free online shopping tool that will assist your back to school shopping, that gives you real cash back on items that you're already planning to purchase from a large selection of retailers. It is absolutely free. Just go ahead and create your account by entering your email and creating a password, and you can either add a browser extension or go to their site and click on the retailers that offer cashback. They support over 2,000 retailers with a cashback of up to 30%. If you shop at Chinese stores, they offer some of the highest rates on AliExpress, Shein, Banggood, Zaful, and GearBest. You can sign up for a Letyshops account now and get a free premium account with 30% increased cashback rates for the first week of shopping for newly registered users. And you can withdraw your cashback with as little as $5 on your balance. For all of you guys watching this video, they've also increased the cashback at Best Buy for the next week or so as a special promotion, so make sure you check that link down below to sign up. As for a monitor, this is a recommendation that will be very suitable for some people, but for others it might be a little bit out of the price range, and that is the LG Ergo Monitor 32-inch that we featured in a previous setup makeover. The reason why I like this is that it is very flush and it stays at the end of the desk, so if you don't have the largest space, you have the flexibility of kind of positioning it in a few different options, whether it is vertical or horizontal. This is part of the ultrafine line, so the display quality is definitely a bit better, and it has HDR10 4K resolution. And if you're doing any sort of like creative work in photo and video, then this is going to be a very popular choice. And I feel like the price point is not outrageous. It is definitely not cheap. There's a lot of better options out there, such as the BenQs that are more affordable. But the Ergo monitor is one that I didn't think I was going to like, but after seeing it and trying it, I was a huge fan of it. On the topic of BenQ though, the one under $200 is one that I was very impressed by in terms of the quality. The colors were very vibrant, the display was sharp, the viewing angles were great, and the best part was, in a lot of cases, depending on the size, it comes in under $150. One of the best tech bargains in my opinion this year is Apple's $399 iPhone that has been brought back. It has been quite a few years since they made the original iPhone SE, so here is a 2020 model. It is pretty much an iPhone 11 Pro on the inside with an iPhone 8 camera element, but thanks to software improvements and the AI, software and processing improvements, the camera quality in terms of photos is almost very similar to the entire iPhone 11 lineup for this year. But obviously we've seen Google do the Pixel 4a for $350 that has a midline processor but with a flagship camera. But in this case, you've got an Apple flagship processor in this device with a really solid camera and also guaranteed updates for probably the next 5 to 6 years. And it essentially performs the same as the flagship phone that is currently available today. So if you're a student that needs a new phone, I feel like the iPhone SE 2020 is a great deal. So on the computer side of things, in the previous years, I've been recommending the 13-inch MacBook Pro because the Air just simply wasn't powerful enough based on the processor offerings. But this year, they've actually done a good job in the updates, so much so that I personally have a MacBook Air as my primary laptop because I didn't really feel like I needed to get the Pro, and I felt like the trade-off in terms of size was worth it now that it comes in a quad-core option. This option starts under $1,000 after student discount, but I do recommend that you spend the extra $100 and get yourself an i5 option that has quad-core processors, and honestly, performance-wise, it has been really good to me. The 10th generation chips are double the speed of the previous generation, and you can also get up to 16 gigs of RAM, and I also like the fact that they've doubled the base storage from 128 to 256. If you're really looking for more power though, then the midline MacBook Pro 13-inch this year has really seen an update as well. So I feel like for the majority of students out there, the MacBook Air is going to be more than enough. So after my time with it, I have been super happy. AirPods are obviously another very easy recommendation, and whether you go with the regular model or the Pro, that is totally going to be up to you and what you need. I personally still use the regular ones all the time because I find they're very easy to take in and out, and I don't really need the active noise cancellation. But no matter what, both of them do a very good job, and if you buy a MacBook right now as a student, then you actually get a free pair of 2nd generation AirPods, and if you pay a little bit more, you can get the AirPods Pro. On the Microsoft side of things, if you're looking for a good computer, then I always love the Microsoft Surface Book line. Obviously, we have tried a lot of Windows computers in the last few years, and for like creative work, I really like Razer products, but I feel like for student and productivity, the hardware and design of the Surface Book is my personal favorite. A lot of people said the design is a little bit dated and is missing Thunderbolt and all that, which is true, but I still feel like even though this was designed many years ago and you're into the 3rd generation with the same body, it still looks great and feels great, and I actually kind of like the hinge that goes in the middle, but I know the gap is something that people don't love when it's folded down. After a couple years of waiting for an update, this generation of the Surface Book 3 has the latest 10th generation processors, but the graphics have also been improved with the NVIDIA GTX 1660 Ti on the 15-inch model. So if you're like a previous generation Surface Book owner, or you've just been waiting, then I feel like now is the time to buy it because we don't know when they're going to update this. It might be a couple years from now, but the model right here is the latest and greatest when it comes to specs. And I know previously Microsoft has been a little bit behind other computer models in terms of specs. And the Surface Pro is definitely an example of great hardware but lackluster specs for the price. So now into the tablet category, and I feel like whether you're anti-Apple or not, the category of tablets does belong to Apple. They simply make the best ones. They've got the biggest ecosystem, and even though there are some options out there like the Samsung Galaxy Tab and stuff that are catching up, I feel like the iPad's lead has continued to be extended over the past couple of years. And even though I have the iPad Pro here, the 2018 model, because I didn't really need to upgrade, it was pretty much the same and it's still that good, I feel like you can go with a cheaper option. Most people are never going to need the amount of power on the iPad Pro, but if you decide to skip a computer and rely simply on a tablet, then this is something that you're not going to be disappointed with. So in terms of the options you have, the iPad starts at $400 and it has Apple Pencil support, which I feel like is one of its best features based on the number of apps that can support it. So if you want to save some money and get that model, I feel like they've done a good job in offering an entry-level option that is still compatible with some of its best features, and for most people, the power 4 is gonna be more than enough because the iPad is like a general note-taking, productivity, and also media consumption machine. The iPad Pro is able to do more than that. You can do photo editing, video editing, and some of the graphic intensive stuff. There's just so many things you can do on an iPad, and I feel like the experience from an iPad to a computer is actually a little bit different. I feel like I'm actually more productive on an iPad sometimes because I'm able to focus on specific tasks at once instead of having a million windows open. This is actually my go-to travel setup, and a lot of times I don't even take a computer when I travel. And this right here is the Magic Keyboard, which I think is a great accessory, but once you add up the price of the iPad and the keyboard, you're essentially looking at the same price of a MacBook Air, so you're gonna have to make the decision for yourself. But I did do a video comparing the iPad to the MacBook, but if you're looking for a tablet, I think chances are Apple is gonna be the option to go with. The next tech product is more of a want instead of a need, but it is a set of Philips Hue Plays, which are some LED lights that can go on the back of the monitor, or you can put them essentially anywhere you want, but it gives the room a nice ambient feel. And if you're gonna be spending a lot of time indoors, then having the kind of vibe to it, or changing the white balance to go with like a Kelvin value, warmer or cooler, reading settings, or just like a crazy color and different effects. But it is a bit expensive, and you definitely don't have to have it. Another great desk accessory for anyone who listens to a lot of music is a good pair of desktop speakers. And this is another area where you can spend a lot of money, but you can also get something that is 20 bucks from Amazon or Best Buy. But the one that I personally enjoy and have been using for as long as I can remember is the Audio Engine A2 Plus. And the price is not outrageous. It comes at around $200, I believe, but the sound quality for the size is nice. It doesn't take up too much space. And even though I have a large desk, I just don't want a speaker to like take up all that real estate. And I feel like the power of these speakers with the desktop stands is good enough, and the sound quality is better than anything I've tested in its price range. They come in a lot of different colors, but I've got like a simple white one, and if you've been watching my videos for a few years now, then you know I swear by these. So as we wrap up our back to school coverage for this year, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and a huge thanks to you for watching this video. As you guys know, I love to do a lot of back to school videos, whether it is setup makeover, the budget episodes, and just try to help you guys out, because even though I have been out of school for 2 years, I'm still very involved in the tech space, obviously, and I have been in school in the past couple years comparative to other YouTubers who are like in their 30s. So I feel like I do bring a unique perspective in that category and what students tend to like to use. If you guys enjoyed this video, as always, make sure to drop a like, and I'll see you all in the next video.